What's up guys? Today I'll be comparing Singapore and Taiwan on their freedom of speech. Which one is better? Oh Danny, how could you compare them? It's so obvious that Taiwan has more freedom of speech and president size is a kind of someone leading democracy, while Singapore is no way to match under the dictator Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong. Let's look at the difference between Singapore under PAP and Taiwan under DPP on how they regard freedom of speech. And here are my 4 points. Number 1, the protests in both cities. Both Taiwanese and Singaporeans are very conservative, but both could speak whatever on their mind. In this regard, like the Taiwanese are doing, Singaporeans could hold rallies for the protest too, even for another sunflower movement. However, to carry out the activities, Singaporeans will need a permit, which sounds crazy, but this is necessary since Singapore is a very tiny country. If a big protest ever happens and becomes a riot, Singapore will likely become the next Hong Kong. An economic disaster for no reason, that is so terrible. But once you have the permit, it's very easy to get at no cost. You can speak whatever you like at a very pathetic small little park. Nevertheless, you can make a protest on live streaming for everyone to see. The permit is just something like for you to be responsible for what you're doing, since freedom of speech should come with responsibility, right? In Taiwan, different. The people could speak anywhere and anyhow they like. But what ironic is the supporters of DPP, they behave indecently with full of swearing and vulgarities, especially when it comes to confront opponents or even against China. Not only will they behave as hooligans, but also create a lot of horrible things. I mean, really hideous and disgusting. If you ever had a chance to take part in their march during the presidential election, like what I did before, you know what I'm saying. So which one do you think is immoral? Singapore or Taiwan? Number 2, what you can speak in both cities. In Singapore, you are free to speak or post anything you want against the government. You can see a lot of this on Facebook, anywhere on the social media. No one is stopping you as long as it's based on facts or even from your opinion. Additionally, Singapore has many public surveys going on commissioned by the government. 1 year, I think 1 month. 1 month, that's about 10 surveys, public opinion surveys on the government, alright? And respondents could say anything about the government, whether bad or good. Even if you are saying anything bad about Lee Hsien Loong, it's just an end bite for him. He wouldn't care much as long as you're not causing any nuisance for the public. Although you may hear that some people are arrested by the government for what they are saying or right or to do, those people are actually abusing the freedom they have. And most of the time, they are charged for causing public disturbance or libeling, which is apparently a criminal offense in many countries and also in many states of America. Some anti-government individuals in Singapore who also just made up fake stories or some twisted information to cause hatred on the government. However, in Taiwan, whether news being fake or true, the government under DPP will be always hostile towards you if you speak against them or in favor of the opponents. CTI News is one of the examples that they are considering to penalize. The freedom of press in Taiwan is cut off. The Taiwan government wouldn't care whether what you're saying is from your opinion or from your research. If you're against them, they will just find some ways to terrorize you and fix you one way or another. And to the extreme, they may even conduct some underground track gang to silence you anytime. So which one do you think has a fair system? Singapore or Taiwan? Number 3, the fake news law. Singapore law is strict but transparent. What you can do in Singapore can be either right or wrong, left or right, but nothing in between. This is why many Singaporeans could be very square and not flexible in the way they think or do things. Many Singaporeans will tend to ask for proof for whatever you say. Although there's a fake news law in Singapore, the news is used to protect the citizens, but not really meant to protect the government. Is there any need for the government to use this kind of law, since the minister or whoever in the government could even declare openly how super sky high their income is? As for Taiwan, the use of fake news law is totally different. It's meant to protect the government or the political party, never for the people, because they are really corrupt. And what they are earning outside of their main source of income is always a secret, since Taiwan black gold politics is nothing unusual for many years. Moreover, there are many suspicious cases unsolved within the ruling party. Chen Shui-bian is a free man despite a well-known corruption case involving DPP. Tsai Ing-wen PhD is proven fake with many evidence, and even the election to get her become the president again is still questionable, and so on. And there is a very long list of their unsolved cases. On the other hand, if you're gonna slander their opponents, you're welcome to do so, however you like, and they won't care whether you say it's true or not. You can even say Han Kuo commit adultery, or Xi Jinping become a ruthless murderer, or whatever. Thus, their fake news law is not used to help the people but protect the political party. Number 4. Singapore IB and Taiwan 1450. The Internet Army. To be realistic, there are always internet armies working for the government in every country. The one in Singapore is used to monitor what you comment or post on Facebook and on other social media platforms. The Singapore Internet Army is commonly known as IB, and their main aim is in fact to observe the netizens' behaviors. In any event of national threats going on, they could report to the government. At the same time, it also helps to promote the ruling party PAP too, which is very common practice for any politicians to build a good image of themselves. And this is how public figures or celebrities work their way up, or which you can call as propaganda or online bragging. Everyone like to brag to some certain degree, capiche? However, Singapore IB will not go to the extent of slandering or accusing anyone on social media like what the Taiwan 1450 Internet Army have been doing for many years. The 1450 is just a bunch of pale, low-graded hooligans behind the computers, and they are there to influencing netizens. And the government doesn't care how these hooligans are working and traumatizing anyone on the internet, even causing death on someone. The 1450 Internet Army is not used for the purpose of national security, but to slander their opponents on whoever they dislike maliciously. So which one do you think is dangerous, Singapore or Taiwan? So what's the bottom line? There's a lot of freedom of speech in Taiwan, but the question is whether it's meant to use for political reasons or whether it's really meant for people to enjoy. But in Singapore, the law is for everyone to use. So do leave down your comments or any questions. Bye. All things we are doing are fake.